You ready to do this, Steve?
Let's do it, Spence. Punch it, Chewie.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot, as always, is Steve Madura.
I'm Steve.
We're two best friends that, despite being fathers and husbands, we just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode number 57. We release every Thursday morning on iTunes, Google Music, and Stitcher. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us each and every week automatically into your ear canals.
We're available on Amazon Prime as well. Come right to your door.
2-day shipping, Steve?
Oh, no. Much quicker than that. Very cool. Well, it's good to be with you. Now, I hear that you are recording from an undisclosed location, somewhere in an underground bunker, somewhere in New Mexico. Is that right?
No. I am in the frozen tundra of Montana.
Yes.
And by frozen tundra, I mean it's negative 23 degrees outside right now, as we speak.
Holy goodness. No more caroling, eh? You lost 3 family members caroling 2 days ago.
That's exactly right. We made this long trip up to Montana for the Christmas holiday, and usually we make that trip in about 13 to 14 hours. Because we have to have a little more time to stop now for the kids.
Sure.
But this year we actually had horrendous conditions. It was snowing, it was coming down, like we couldn't see the road for just massive stretches of time. We couldn't see more than like 10 feet in front of us, maybe. And so like everyone's going really slow. And then when we would pick up speed again, because the conditions cleared a little bit, like I started fishtailing a few times on the freeway, doing like 70 miles an hour with, the kids in the back and Brita and all the presents. And, so I'm steering into the skid, and like every time it would get, like perfectly lined up with the road, I'm trying to like pump the brakes, and we're, now skidding back the other way. And it just...
Wow. So the question is, of course, how long did it take you?
So here's the thing, because of all the erratic driving due to the weather and like the slowdowns, and like we stopped a few times and like waited for like some weather to clear, we made it in about 2 days because we took a much needed break, and we stopped at Brita's aunt's house, and we stayed the night, and then we got up the next morning a little late, and then drove the rest of the way. It's one of those things where, like, I love spending Christmas with my in-laws, and I love being with them, but I really, really despise the drive because you don't know if you're going to have okay weather or if it's going to be like it is right now, and it was just absolutely miserable getting up here.
Gosh, I'm sorry. I'm glad you guys arrived safely, though. I mean, fishtailing at 70, that is, you hit some dry spots when you're fishtailing, and that's not good. What were you driving up there? Were you in the truck?
Just the truck. Yep, we use the truck as the family vehicle. So
you had 4-wheel drive on?
No, I don't have 4-wheel drive in the truck. It's just rear wheel only.
Oh, what? Do you have any like weight back there? Like, you put like salt back there or some...
When we made one of our stops, we bought some salt bags and added about 160 pounds back there, like 80 over one wheel, 80 over the other, to try to give it a little more traction, which helped some. But I mean, still, like every time like we'd hit a nice patch and start to slide around, I'd see like other cars already off the road that hit the same ice patch like ahead of us. So it was pretty treacherous. I'll say it just wasn't the best driving conditions by a long shot. But we made it. Everyone's safe. Everyone's happy, and we got to do Christmas with the family instead of other things that could have happened.
Should have sprung for the 4-wheel drive, cheapo. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, man, that was like 6 years ago when I bought that truck.
Oh, that's awesome. So obviously you've been up there for a while. You've been hanging with the in-laws. Now, is there like all Breda's families in town? Did they all kind of converge on Montana?
Most of the families here.
Yeah.
The one sister and her husband and their little baby girl don't arrive till tomorrow night, and so we'll overlap for like maybe 2-3 days before we have to leave and head back. But pretty much everyone's here right now, so everyone's all shacked up here in this house and, celebrating Christmas and trying to keep warm and stay out of the frozen tundra that is Montana right now.
Spoon. It just keeps warm,
Sure. You gotta do what you gotta do. But Christmas was great. The boys did start to have meltdowns towards the end of the day. All the excitement and all the merriment and the joy, and then all the dang candy that they got in their stockings, which I'm so over giving kids candy in their stockings. I think next year it's going to be like an orange and a banana, and I'm going to call it good.
Yeah. Well, and you think also like the overstimulation. I mean, I think even our kids at 12 and 10, it's like so many presents, so much that it's just like we had to take like periodic breaks, which I'll get into, but
Breda's family does this thing where like everyone goes around and opens up a gift, and they go like youngest to oldest. So like the youngest opens up a gift and they show it off, and then the next person goes and they show it off, and like that when we were all just like married with no kids or single or whatever, like that was a lot better. But like with the young kids, like that doesn't work. Like my kids were like, when can I open up another present? I'm like, you gotta wait like another 15 minutes. That wasn't flying. So eventually we're like, hey, can we just do the kids and like, do a bunch of lightning rounds, just the kids? And so then we ended up doing that and letting the kids open up their presents and look at everything and, go crazy. And then the adults slowed down a little bit. But we really did everything in about 2 hours this year, which is great because I can tell you a number of years ago, we started in the morning like at 8, and then we stopped for a breakfast, and then like we had to go to church, and then we came back, and then we kept going. I remember it was like 3:30 in the afternoon, and we were finishing opening up our gifts. And I was like, I grew up different. The way I grew up was like we got up early, like 6 a.m., and by 7 a.m., everything had been opened, and we'd had the trash all thrown out, and, we were starting breakfast. We were more the heathens that just would rip through it like the Tasmanian devil.
I should say you were. But, different strokes for different folks. So did your kids get some things that they, were there some highlight gifts? Were there some things that stood out?
They wanted these bumper cars, these like little Fisher Price... Little Tykes bumper cars like you do with like a remote control. And when they hit something, like the little driver gets ejected out of his seat.
How violent?
They're not like, they're not very expensive. They were like maybe like only like $25 on Amazon or something. But they've been seeing those ads for like months on the Disney Junior app on the iPads that they watch occasionally. And that's what they wanted. But they got a lot of clothes. A lot of things they needed. It's like they got new underwear and socks and clothes. And surprisingly, like our boys are pretty excited by that. So, they were happy to get new underwear and new, socks and new clothes.
I assume they were themed underwear. I mean, this isn't just a regular pair of tidy whities.
No. They got some superhero underwears like Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, Flash. They also got some Super Mario Brothers underwear, which right now Mario Brothers is a big hit in our household.
Oh yes.
And so they got that underwear, plus then they also got a Super Mario jacket, like a Mario jacket each. And so they were really, really excited by that. So it was good.
I don't know if it's just me, but I really appreciate when kids can, just like enjoy the simple gifts, like you talk about like stockings, like we are still eating our Halloween candy. So I'm like, there's no way we're doing candy. Like just, and Carrie actually kind of talked me more off the ledge than I would have normally, but we do a few simple gifts or Santa does a few simple gifts in the stockings. And, I think it's better that way. I appreciate Santa's, forethought for my sanity.
Yeah, I'm with you. We tried paring down the amount of presents this year, and we did better than last year.
Yeah.
But we still could have pared down a little bit more, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Well, and you think about it as well. You've got so you have your presents that you give them, and then they get presents sometimes from, people at church, like little gifts there, and then you get, presents from the in-laws and your parents.
Aunts and uncles. Yeah. It just goes on and on and on.
You're like, I could actually probably spend like $20 a kid, and then everybody else would just, subsidize.
Yep, pretty much.
So yeah, I remember a few years ago when we had to spill present opening into a 2-day event because there were so many presents. Carrie and I were like, this is not good. This is not good. But I will say this year, it was a sweet experience. We, and I talked about this, I think previously, but we really have tried to focus on, gift giving internally within our family at like making the gifts. And sometimes they're bought and whatnot, but, and trying to make homemade gifts for one another. And so one of the sweetest gifts was Addison came up with this idea to give Carter a gift, and he wanted to, Carter bought himself a Traxxas, which is a kind of high-end remote control car. It goes like 30 miles an hour. It's a little scary, but it's huge. And, Addison came up with this idea to make this ramp for him so he could like jump off and whatnot. So he spent and we were over at my in-laws' basement working with all my father-in-law's tools for like 6 or 7 nights. Like he took this thing, he painted it black. So it's like a cabinet, a piece of like a cabinet door that he painted black. And then he put these, this kind of extender part on the ramp where you can fold it like 2 different ways. So you can have a really high jump or like a medium jump, and it has like these hinges on it that lock in place. And then he covered the whole thing in painter's tape, and then he carved with an X-Acto knife, and I helped him a little bit, and then peeled half of it off and then spray painted the flames. He made flames on the board. He painted them chrome. Then when you peeled the whole thing off, it looked freaking amazing. And he was so excited about it. So we worked on it together. But, so when he gave that, I mean, you just saw like, he was more excited to give that than anything he got. Right. And it was really, really cool to see. And amongst all our kids, I mean, Alana got Lila like this little like journal that was like a teal colored fluffy journal with a dog on it called Slushy, which is like a Beanie Boo type thing. And Lila has carried that thing around for 2 days straight. Like, I'm going to go write in my journal. Now, the only thing she knows how to write is her name. So she's just scribbling in it, but she has loved it, and she's carried it around. And, Carter made, we worked on pillowcases. So Carrie went to the store and bought a bunch of white pillowcases. And so the kids spent the day before Christmas making pillowcases for my family. So my mother, my stepfather, my sisters, and my brother-in-law. And just spent like all day thinking about like all the memories and all the experience they've done, and made these little things with just Sharpie markers, and you iron it and it stays forever. But one of the ones that Carter made for Carrie was this T-Rex, and it said, I love you. And it has a T-Rex and going like this with his little arms is this much, right? Kind of over the T-Rex's belly. Yeah. And then below it says, my arms only stretch so far, but you get the idea. And like, she loved it. She almost like started crying. It was so cute. And he did a really good job. So anyway, it's been a really fun, experience as they grow older to have that. But we are more of the rounds, so we'll do, stockings and then we'll have breakfast, and then we'll do, presents from Santa, and then we'll take a break. And it worked really well this year because, Carter got a longboard from Santa. Addison got, roller skates from us. Alana got a scooter that glows in the dark with the wheels from my mom. And so we took them all over to the church about halfway through Christmas Day. And, we got to use them like for an hour or two to get energy out and just let them use their presents when otherwise, because of the snow on the ground, we wouldn't have been able to use them. So, the breaks really worked out well for us this year. So, but it was good all around. It was really good. And, I got a few things for camping and whatnot. One of the standout gifts though, Carrie went and, you remember Carrie used to do a blog back in the day?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever, but back in like 2008, she started it and did it for, 4 years or so. She made this book of all the blog posts. And it was so many pages. There was a limit on pages. It would have been like 800 pages. It turned out to be 250 for just 2 years worth. But she went and like formatted every single page of this 250 page book. And I started reading it today, and like, it's from like a lifetime ago, right? When like our kids were little, I'm like, I don't even remember them this small. And she has a wonderful way of like writing funny stories and whatnot. So I started reading it. I'm probably 20 pages in, and I was like getting choked up, and like and it took her hours. I mean, like, she's been working on it for like 2 months straight, unbeknownst to me. And, just the sweetest gift, and it's awesome. So very, very, very grateful for some of the gifts from the heart. We that was our theme for this year, gifts from the heart. So it's very cool.
We had like a really good Christmas morning, and we had breakfast with the family, and that was really nice. And then, kind of like the middle part of the day, I don't know about you guys, but yeah, same thing, like let the kids play with their toys, just kind of hang out, whatever. And then in the evening, for Christmas dinner, we went over to Brida's grandparents' house. Oh, that's cool. We have dinner with them, and we kind of do a little more gift exchanging with the grandparents. And it's kind of a bittersweet moment because Brida's grandfather's got some bad news health-wise. They found some masses in his lungs, and at 87, it's pretty clear cut that it looks like it's going to be cancer. And that's at his age, the treatment could be worse than the disease. And so, like, everyone kind of knows that this is going on. So, like, we're obviously really grateful to come up, but grateful that we're able to be here with him before potentially, things could start going downhill. Yeah. And so we were over there, and we're just, kind of having a real great time, and just cherishing time together as a family, and making some memories, of course. And then as we leave to go back to my in-laws' house, I notice I have a flat tire on my truck.
What?
And it is negative 18 degrees, and it is dark, and the wind is picking up and whipping around. And so it's only like maybe a 2-minute drive, and I was like, screw this. I'm like, I'm not leaving the truck here. I've got to get my kids back. It's, freezing cold out. So I drove with a very deflated tire. Thankfully, I didn't do any damage to like the rim or anything like that. But I drove it back to the house. And so on Christmas night, with the temperatures plummeting, my father-in-law and I get the truck into his garage that is heated to maybe like 40 degrees, which still is cold.
Yeah.
But compared to like negative 18 degrees, it's warm.
It's like Tahiti.
And so the two of us got to take the flat tire off my truck, get my truck jacked up, get the tire off it, get the spare tire out, and put the spare tire on it together, and then, just kind of like trying to find the right tools, and, we got it jacked all the way up, but it didn't go high enough, so we had to go find another jack and put that on a wood block. And so, here it is, the evening of Christmas night, and my father-in-law and I are out together working on my truck to get the flat tire removed. And then, of course, today I went out and took the tire to a local shop and had them look at it, and it's going to need to be replaced, so I'm getting a new tire that should arrive tomorrow. And then I also had a headlight that burnt out last night, so I went and bought headlights, and I replaced the headlights today on the truck. And it's just one of those things where it never fails. Every single time I come up here during the wintertime, something on my truck stops working. The last time it was a battery. This time it was a flat tire and a headlight. Next time it's probably going to be some sort of like an alternator. I don't know. It'll be something.
Well, to see the silver lining, though, thank goodness you didn't hit a flat tire sometime between your drive, the 2-day drive,
Very, very, very true. Very true.
2 miles from where you needed to be, it's pretty dang good, man.
That, and the other takeaway is, like, I just have an awesome father-in-law who's, such a humble, willing servant. Like, I just said to him, I said, hey, can, do you have, this? Because if we can get this in there, I can do this tomorrow. And he's like, oh, let's take a look at it. Just wanted to kind of, look at it, which meant, he wanted to see what we could do. And so we got it up, and then he's like, oh, let's get this off here. And then we got it off, and he's like, oh, let's get the spare down, So we basically did everything we needed to do so I could just take the tire to the shop today and drive on my spare. So that was really awesome. And he's, Chip is such a great guy. I'm really blessed and fortunate, because otherwise it would have been just my butt doing it alone, and it would have been cold, and,
Father-in-laws are awesome, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, like today, today is December 26th. That's the day after Christmas when we're recording. And that's my mother-in-law's birthday. And so we went out for her birthday dinner, and we went to this Mexican restaurant and had this, wonderful food and opening up gifts and, just spending time together with her, wishing her a happy birthday. Although Charlie got into a little bit of trouble today. He, destroyed one of her Christmas decorations, and I had to get pretty strict with him and had to administer some punishment. And there was a couple swats on the bum, and there was some time out, and we forced him to take a nap, and then we had him go and apologize and ask what he could do to make it up. We also told him that, if you destroy things when you get older, you don't just get a swat on the butt or two and, have to say, I'm sorry. You go to jail. And so, of course,
the Scared Straight program. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, like tonight, I said, before we sent him to bed, I said, buddy, what did we learn today? And he says, I learned not to destroy things, because if I destroy things, I will go to jail, and then mommy and daddy would have to come get me out of jail, and we would have to run from the police because they would want to put me back in jail. I was like, I don't know. That's exactly what we taught you today.
Running from the law. Good night, son.
Right. But I was like, maybe we'll talk about this again a little bit. You got the jail police thing a little confused.
I'm on the lam. I gotta run.
I know. I was like, mom and dad are going to spring me out, and we're going to have to run together. Anyway.
Put the file in the hoagie sandwich. Wink, wink. So speaking of kind of funny things with kids, Carter got his braces today. So we waited for the day after Christmas so he could at least get some of his stuff.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he got that, came home, and I'm like, he looks like a teenager, man. Like he suddenly grew up like this coming of age Fred Savage thing. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then
so he was in the movie. He's going to be in the new remake of the movie Monster Squad.
I'll kill you. I will literally kill you. I will drive my butt to Montana on a flat tire and kill you. And then we also watched Home Alone tonight, and the kids freaking loved it. Man, that movie, it still got it, man. It still got it.
Home Alone, Die Hard for kids.
It's got staying power. And it's funny, too, because the one thing my kids kept saying is, why does he keep putting that stuff on his face if he knows it hurts? He does it like 3 times. I'm like, why does he keep doing it?
Maybe he thinks that's what adults do, and
I guess.
He'll get used to it. You're talking about the aftershave, right?
Yeah. It's funny, too, because he screams like 7 or 8 times in the movie, and I swear it's the same scream, just like pre-recorded, like back in like the Warner Brothers cartoons when it's like, ah, hoo, 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 like the same fall voice that they use when Wile E. Coyote's falling. Yeah. Anyway, stood the test of time. Kevin McAllister still cute as a button, not now, but back then, and it was great. Catherine O'Hara. Yeah,
Catherine O'Hara.
Beautiful, still beautiful.
And John Candy.
He's the polka king.
The polka king of the Midwest.
Yeah, it was great. Anyway, loved it. So,
well, good.
If you haven't watched it with your kids, do yourself a favor.
Absolutely. Steve, what do you say we get on to some Rebel Intelligence?
I say yes. Let's do it.
I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Steve, it's my favorite part of the podcast and yours, Rebel Intelligence. The funny thing is about this week is that we don't have a lot in the way of Rebel Intelligence because everything right now that everyone is talking about is nothing but the Star Wars The Last Jedi, and we're not reviewing this until next week. And so as to avoid spoilers and avoid topics that we're going to get into next week, we're a little light, so we got some things we can talk about, but not a whole lot. Plus, with it being the week of Christmas, not a lot of big news is happening, but there are some things going on. What do you got for us?
So one of the things I had was that Warner Brothers has just announced that they are going to still be doing this performance capture Jungle Book film. It's gotten a few delays over the years. They've had it kind of on the books for a while, and it's also got a name change. It's now called Mowgli.
Mowgli,
yeah. And what I didn't realize about this, though, is it's going to be directed and produced by Andy Serkis of famed Gollum.
Right.
Repertoire, and I didn't realize that he did what?
Oh, I say he also did the CGI mocap for like the Planet of the Apes movies, the new ones.
He played Caesar, correct?
Caesar, yeah. He's done a lot of stuff lately.
Though, I didn't realize though that he is a director. So like this is like his directorial. It's not his debut. I don't think. I think he's done some other things, but I guess I just didn't realize he was a director. So
well, he got his like kind of biggest break. Directing during the Peter Jackson Hobbit movies. Basically, Peter Jackson did all the principal photography, and he started letting Andy Serkis do secondary photography. So, like, a lot of shots where they're going to be, like, action shots, but, like, maybe they're using stunt doubles or, like, background stuff, stuff that's not necessarily with the principal actors.
Really?
He did a bunch of the directing for that. And so, like, Peter Jackson's, kind of letting him cut his teeth there. This guy, like, while he is an actor, and, we've seen him in things like, Captain America Civil War and 13 Going on 30, just to name two very random movies that he's been in as an actor.
And Snoke from Star Wars.
Right, Snoke. But
sorry.
he's, he's done, like he said, he's done CGI and Star Wars and Planet of the Apes and obviously the Lord of the Rings stuff. But like, he's kind of that guy, I think, or is going to be that guy in Hollywood that like kind of does a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. And I could see him probably being a pretty good director. I mean, because he seems very intelligent. Like he digs into things and like wants to know and understand things. So this could be good. Then again, didn't Disney release a live action Jungle Book movie called The Jungle Book?
That's the thing. I mean, and they gave the synopsis, and you read it, and I'm like, this is exactly the same.
Is this going to be like a Bug's Life Ants sort of thing again?
Possibly could be. Possibly not. But okay. They do have some pretty good, pretty big headliners in the way of their cast. They've got Ronan Chand playing Mowgli. They've got Mowgli. They've got Christian Bale in it, Benedict Cumberbatch, Cate Blanchett. So I mean, these are not slouches in the way of Hollywood.
Yeah.
So
they're not nobodies. These are people.
Yeah. So I imagine that at least based on the actors that they build for it, it's going to be good. He did release something on his Facebook that said that this is, unlike anything else, unprecedented levels of, kind of non-humanoid animated faces and all the rest and the next generation of storytelling. So is it going to be great? Is it going to be groundbreaking, or is it just going to be a remake? I don't know. We will see.
Yeah. Well, it's good. I mean, I think we'll have to look out for it. So here's the thing, and I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna tell you something that I've been thinking about lately. This doesn't really relate to Mowgli, but maybe kind of. There's this thing out there called MoviePass. I don't know if you've heard about it.
No.
But basically, you can sign up for this thing where you pay like. It's like $100 for like the whole year, like $120. So $120. So it equals out to $10 a month. Mm-hmm. And basically you get this like app on your phone that allows you, and they send you this credit card you use to pay for the movies. And you activate it. And basically what happens is it allows you to go see one movie every day during the month. But you have to like be close enough to the movie theater to check into the movie theater on your app. And then basically what it'll do is it'll put enough money on your card to pay for a movie. And so like for someone like me, where I go and I see a lot of movies by myself in the evenings once the kids are down, if we don't want to do like a date night between Brita and I could get this and I could just, go over to the theater, sign in on the app, and then it would put the money on. And then I could go to the kiosk and choose my seat and then swipe it and it would pay for it. And I get to go see a movie. So essentially, like if you go once a month, it would pay for itself because movies now are like, $12, $14 depending on where you go.
Yeah.
And this is $10 a month. And so like I could go one day and then the next day I could go back and see a different movie. Obviously, like on big opening weekends, that's not going to work because there's not going to be open seats. But usually I see only a handful of movies on the opening weekend during the year, and I see a lot of movies like a week after or 2 weeks after. And so this is one of these things where like I think I'm going to get it and do that this year. So like a movie like Mowgli, probably not a movie I'm going to run out and go see. But if I have that MoviePass and I've got some extra time and, you know, it's something I want to see, like that's a movie I could see myself go and say, no, you know, I've got this thing and, you know, I've already paid for it and I can go see 30 movies in a month if I wanted to. Why not go and, you know, go see this on some random, you know, Saturday night?
So let me ask this, though. What's the catch? I don't understand how they can make money if you were to go see, you know, 5, 10 movies a month. I mean, $10?
Yeah. The principle is this, Steve. It's that, you know, movie theaters don't make their big money on tickets. They make it on concessions. So, you know, this MoviePass thing, basically it's saying like, you know, hey, we're going to let you go in there. So maybe they're losing money, but if they have some sort of a deal, it says, okay, you know, you're going to get, you know, X number of dollars for every time it gets swiped or whatever. I'm not sure how they work it out, but the theater wants more people there because the likelihood that I'm going to come in and say, oh, well, you know, hey, you know, this is my third movie I've seen this month on it, so it's paid itself over twice over already. You know, I'm going to go in there and say, hey, this didn't cost me anything, so I can spring for a large popcorn and a drink. And so, like, you know, I think they're hoping that consumers will think that, and then obviously spend money on the concessions where they make their real money.
Oh, the fools. Yes, they will lose money on me. I once brought a whole pizza into a movie theater in my jacket.
Right.
The cheese slid to one side, but it was good.
Yeah, but if I have something like this may not be a movie I would necessarily go run out to go see.
Yeah,
like, it wouldn't be like the top of my list. But if I could go see it and it didn't cost me anything extra because I've already seen my movie for that month and have paid it off and it's, you know, essentially like a free movie for me, why not?
Oh, absolutely. This has opened up a whole new world for me. I feel like a song coming on. A whole new world. Sing with me, Spence.
With great movies to view.
No one will tell me no, 'cause they'll be asleep when I sneak off to go see movies by myself. There we go.
Anyway.
Good stuff, man.
So, Steve, I don't know if you've seen this. You remember earlier this year, the Lego Batman movie came out, and it was obviously, like, we loved that movie. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we reviewed it, I believe.
Yeah. Anyway, DC is starting to do more of these kind of like Lego movies, but some of them are going direct to digital or direct to video. But they're coming out with a movie based on The Flash. And I have loved the CW Flash TV show, and I've seen the trailer for this Lego version of The Flash. Man, it looks really good. It's definitely something that I want to check out. But it's just announced today that this is going to be a thing, or not today, but, you know, a couple days back. But it's going to be a thing, and that it's going to have, you know, The Flash, and it's going to be all Lego, and so it's going to be coming out, I think in February digitally, and then like DVD Blu-ray sometime in March.
Well, you know, usually the straight-to-DVD movies, you know, were a thing of, you know, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen post Full House type of, you know, genre. But no, I've checked out the trailer for this as well. It looks really funny. It seems to have kind of the same type of humor, which is kind of a cute, kind of funny. They use the Lego bit a little bit as well, type of humor. Which I really enjoyed. I really liked the Lego Batman. It was fun enough for kids, but had a lot of the adult humor that, you know, you'd have had to have seen the 1970s Batman or whatever. So, anyway, it looks like a lot of fun. Looks something I'd watch.
I think it looks good. I want to go see it.
Yeah, I'd see it. Very cool. The last thing that I had, just a small thing, was speaking of Die Hard. I know we've talked about this.
Favorite Christmas movie.
Favorite Christmas movie. Still stands the test of time. There's a reporter for CNN, Jake Tapper, who used his investigative journalism skills to get to the bottom of one burning question that has divided a nation, and that is this: is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And to do so, he reached out to the film's writer, which a gentleman by the name of Steven D'Souza, on Twitter, and asked him to settle the debate once and for all. What do you think he said?
I'm going to say, because I love Die Hard and I think it's a Christmas movie, I'm going to guess he probably said it's a Christmas movie.
Ding, 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 ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Yes, he came back and said that it was because the studio rejected the Purim draft, which is a Jewish holiday that represents the saving of the Jewish people from evil King Herod or whatnot. So anyway, but yeah, Christmas all around here. Great film. And actually, I watched kind of a few snippets because I honestly haven't seen Die Hard in a few years. But I need to rewatch it because I watched just a little snippet and classic, man. Classic. Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber. He was so good. When he's in the elevator and he's like, "Nice suit. I have 3 myself." And he's like, gonna kill this guy. He happens to cop him in his suit. Anyway, but great movie. And yes, it is a Christmas movie that should don with gay apparel the shelf that you keep It's a Wonderful Life and A Christmas Story on. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm glad that the debate has been settled once and for all.
You can rest easy. That it has. Yeah. That it has.
I'm going to sleep better tonight, knowing that the writer agrees with me.
No. That's going to be hypothermia setting in at the negative 28 degrees when the heat goes out.
Well, that too.
You'll sleep fine.
Okay, so Steve, last thing that I had for you, and I find this very, very interesting. Like we're all about tech. We're all about like new gadgets, right? I mean, that's
sure.
Every new thing that comes out, and like obviously, like right now, the iPhone X is the big, hot iPhone. It's the new thing. It's $1,000, and we talked about it. And we both said, for $1,000, heck no, because that's way too much money. But there's an interesting tidbit that's happened just recently. Apparently, Apple is getting sued multiple times by class action lawsuits because Apple has finally kind of come out and announced what people have suspected for a long time, and they've been outed, that Apple intentionally sends out updates that will slow down the older model iPhones, which will then, cause people to be frustrated and go out and buy their new ones. Now,
unbelievable.
I heard that, and I'm frustrated. I don't have an iPhone, but I'm frustrated because Apple is such a typically like a forward-thinking company, and they're all about like customer service, and they're all about their image. And to hear that like they're intentionally sabotaging their own client base to try to get them to buy the new ones, like that just, to me, that sounds like a bad business practice. B, obviously it sounds very deceptive and shady. But C, like I think this is gonna backfire. Like I think that being out there now, I think it's gonna turn people off. But B, like if they end up losing a bunch of these lawsuits, they're going to come up against them, like they're going to end up losing a whole bunch of money as well.
So 2 questions. Number 1, I wonder, because I think there are still diehard Apple fans that just love the operating system. They love the image of owning Apple. They love the functionality and whatnot. They're probably going to be unscathed by that, I would think.
Sure.
Number 2, similar to the sex scandals that have plagued Hollywood, how many other people are going to be outed? Is Samsung something going to be outed?
Yeah.
I am amazed at how quickly my tech at least slows down. I mean, I was on an S6, which is a few generations behind, obviously, the new S8 for Samsung for the Galaxy, and I was like, man, this thing is creeping. Like, won't play videos. I mean, things start to kind of shut down. And everybody's like, oh, they don't support that kind of system. I'm like, maybe not, or maybe they're pushing me to buy their new latest and greatest.
Now, I mean, I do understand, like, in this technology age, as we improve technology and technology gets faster, the older devices that are limited to speeds or don't have the processor to run certain things, certain video or certain, websites, I understand will get slower. Like, that happens.
Yeah, but I'm not like trying to play a Betamax. I mean, it's like 2 generations old of a cell phone. Like, come on.
Right. But at the same time, like, this isn't like, hey, Apple has designed phones that like just go bad after a few years. Like, the hardware's still good. They're pushing out updates that are intentionally slowing down the devices to force people. I mean, if you bought a car, Steve, and 2 years after you bought a car, you took it into the car dealership to have a tune-up, and they intentionally removed the engine that you had in there and put in, like a little hamster wheel and a hamster, and so it didn't run very well, there'd be problems, right? You'd be upset. There would definitely be lawsuits because they took something from you. I just feel like this is bad. This is just a bad idea. It's a bad business practice, and I think they're going to end up paying for it.
Now, I thought I read somewhere though that they were actually doing this, and maybe this is kind of like the cloak and dagger that they were, or the Potemkin Village. They were trying to kind of spin it, but I thought that it was in order to kind of reduce the strain on older batteries or something like that. Like, I don't know if there was risk of them exploding, or I don't know what
That's what they're claiming. I think that's the company line, to be honest.
Spin, yeah.
I think it's spin. I really do. We'll see. Obviously this thing's going to take a while to turn out, but I'm telling you, if I found out that Samsung was doing that to their phones, because I have Samsungs, I'd be angry. I'd be all
Motorola?
up in arms.
Nokia, BlackBerry.
I'd switch to a Google Pixel. That's what I would do. But yeah, I would. And personally, the reason I like the idea of switching to a Google Pixel if I move off Samsung is because it's pure Android. Anytime Android gets an update, it gets it first, before anything, because I don't have to wait for Samsung to, tinker with their stuff. But anyway, different kind of little side trail there. But anyway, so that was just announced like this last week, and so if you're an iPhone user and your iPhone is getting slow, now you know why. Apple's slowing it down intentionally.
That's right. Very cool. Very cool. That's all I got. You got anything?
Nope. That is all I have in the old Rebel Intelligence, Steve. Yeah. So, Steve, here's the thing. Because it was Christmas, and because I was traveling, and because it took me 2 days to arrive, and but like the postman, I came through. Not the Kevin Costner movie,
Costner.
But just no. Yeah. Just the regular postman. Sleet nor hail nor snow nor rain will keep me from delivering my refrain. I forgot to ask for comments and questions on last week's podcast. I do apologize to our super friends profusely. However, our good buddy Grouchy Surge, which on Twitter, which is at @backlog_blues, and our good friend Trash Turkey at Trash Turkey.
I know them both. Yes.
They're actually starting a podcast called The Backlog Busters, which will be them going and playing games that are in their backlog. These are games that like they've wanted to get to, but because of life and kids and whatnot, they just haven't got to, and they're going to play some of these games, and they're going to do a podcast on it. They got a brand new podcast that's going to be coming out. And so I just want to say, these are two super friends of ours. They listen to the show weekly. They comment, they interact with us. So I want to give a big shout out. Go look for the Backlog Busters podcast. I definitely know that it's available through the old iTunes. I think they're getting ready to get it on Google. This should be a really fun show with some great guys. So go check that out. Go find that Backlog Busters.
That is awesome. That is go get them, guys. That's starting.
And welcome to the podcasting family.
Yeah, welcome. You get a horse head in your bed. Welcome to the family. Yeah? We can offer you can't refuse.
Khartoum. Anyway, I love that. Like we just worked in the Godfather reference in here. I love that movie.
Very cool.
Anyway,
Very
so
cool. Good luck, guys.
Big shout out to those guys. And then I've said it before. I'll say it again. If you're not on YouTube and you're not watching Raising a Gamer, which is my brother and his son, Josh and Cool Knight. If you're not watching that, go to YouTube, type in Raising a Gamer, and watch that stuff. It's just good to see a father and a son talk about games that they play together, things from my brother's past, new games. It's just a lot of fun. They're quick videos. They're usually only about maybe 10 minutes long, but definitely worth a watch.
Okay, that's cool, man. That's very cool.
So, Steve,
Mm-hmm.
we got some super friends. We got super friends listening to the show every week, but we're always looking for more super friends. How can our current super friends help us out?
They can rate us on iTunes with a 5-star rating, so the Fortress of Nerditude is easier to find than John McClane in the Nakatomi Plaza finding a machine gun. Booyah!
Nice. Oh, wow. Well, Steve, this is our last episode of 2017.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Like, this year's gone by so fast.
It has. A year shaved off my life. It's one step closer to the cold grasp of death. No. It's been
Wow, that got dark fast.
So on to New Year's resolutions. No, so one thing I wanted to say, speaking of kind of the end of the old and the in with the new and the New Year's resolutions and all the rest, have you seen the postings of David Harbour as Hellboy?
Yeah, I have actually.
Have you seen his physique?
Yeah, that dude is jacked.
Dude, from the juxtaposition of his donut eating, chain smoking days and Stranger Things to what he has become. So I watched a little snippet on YouTube about kind of his transformation. It was like a 10-week, kick your butt, boot camp type thing. And it got me thinking, and then I went from that to Josh Brolin with his new role, and he's had to get buff and all this stuff.
You got turned on, didn't you?
I got turned, yeah. I got like bromance. I'm like, dude, I need to do this, right? And so, New Year's resolution, not that it has to be a New Year's resolution, but I got to get back to the gym, man. My daughter, we played this thing called Doggy, where I basically pretend like I'm a dog and I chase her around and and then I tickle her.
Oh, I know that game.
Yeah.
I know that game.
I mean,
yeah.
She wants to play it all the time. So today we're playing it and she just reaches up and goes, "Kirk, Kirk," gives me a little grope and she's like, "Ooh, squishy." I'm like, "Hey!" and, and I'm like, "They are squishy." So
wow,
it's time. That was the wake up call that I needed. That was the get off your rear, Dad, and stop eating donuts and start eating lean chicken and hitting the gym.
Steve, that's funny you said that because that's one of my resolutions going into next year. Is that
did Charlie grope you today too and say squishy,
no.
Daddy?
No, but one of my resolutions is to make 2018 the year where I'm going to drop a bunch of weight and I'm going to just change some eating habits and start exercising. I've been listening to some audio podcasts on Art of Manliness about garage gyms and because my problem is I know that the idea of getting actually out to a gym and having the gym membership, I know that just with my schedule, that's hard for me to do right now.
Oh yeah, that's half the battle. Just getting to a place,
just
where you
getting
can work
there. So I've been researching things I could do in my home. I mean, I've got a treadmill there and I've got some weights, but I was looking at some stuff things I could do. And plus I've had, 3 shoulder surgeries. So I have to be really careful about the idea of do I just do cardio or do I lift weights as well? And if I do weight training, what am I going to do? And, I've got to approach it smartly so I don't injure myself.
Right.
So, yeah, man, 2018, I'm with you. Let's make this year all about getting healthier for our children.
Yeah, man, get on the train. So if you're out there with us, comment, hit us up, what your New Year's resolution is. This is not one of the questions of the week, or maybe it is, but let us know what you're doing. Let us know what resolutions you're making to change your life for the better. So
yeah, and you know what, Steve, maybe what we do is we'll ask any of our super friends or anyone that maybe listens to this if they want to be part of a little accountability group.
Yeah.
We can set something up on Twitter with direct messages and make a little group and just, kind of help motivate each other and, kind of, help keep, I just find that if I'm accountable to someone and I say it out loud and I tell people about it, I'm more apt to actual doing the thing
Absolutely.
that I commit to.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, I already told you, I think a few podcasts ago, that I want to hit at least a half marathon this year. So that's one of the other kind of bucket list goals for this year.
I want to watch you do half a marathon. That's my goal.
You've always wanted to watch me have cardiac arrest. Well, I'll fly you out. Very cool. Very cool. Well, here's to 2018.
Here's to 2018. But before we go on to 2018, let's look back at 2017. And Steve and I, we've talked about this. We want to present our, as in the Fortress of Nerditude's top 10 things of 2017. And, looking back, these were the things that stuck out the most to us or that were biggest for us. So,
Absolutely.
Steve, we'll go let's do 1, go down and, let's go through our top 10.
Sounds good. You want to start?
Sure. Right out the gate for us, one of the top 10 things this year was Wonder Woman. It was an excellent film. It was a female-centric lead character. It was directed by a female. It broke kind of a glass ceiling in Hollywood as far as being a big blockbuster for a kind of a comic book film with a woman lead. And Wonder Woman was just all that stuff aside, even if you pull all the kind of the record-breaking, glass ceiling busting out of it, it was just an excellent, excellent movie. And
Right.
that's one of the things we say was in our Fortress of Nerditude top 10 of 2017.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if it wasn't any secret, one of the other things that we definitely had to include in the tops for 2017 was Stranger Things Season 2, the reboot.
Yeah.
Obviously, we did the micro podcasts on it, but we got to show gorge ourselves on every wonderful episode of getting back together with the gang out in Indiana and 11, and just had a great time with it. Hope you guys, if you haven't seen that, get on that train. It's great. It's already been rebooted for season 3. But just standouts all around, from Sean Austin's little cameo to Winona Ryder. I mean, every single person. The directing was great. The storytelling was fantastic. Spielberg-esque all around. So definitely one of my tops.
Yep, absolutely. Also in our top 10 of 2017 was the Nintendo Switch. We had a video game console that got released this year. The thing is a great portable gaming console. It is a great docked, console. It's got a great lineup of games. And on top of that, this thing is selling like gangbusters. It's looking like it's probably going to be potentially one of the best selling consoles of all time if the numbers continue the way they're forecasted to go. That's been big in our household. I mean, the boys love it. I know that we've turned people onto it on the podcast, and we're getting great reviews back from parents and from kids. And Nintendo Switch, man, a big console release this year. That was one of the top things in 2017.
What was interesting about that too, Spence, is I think a lot of people were so tepid about how it was going to go, and then it came out and they were like, "Oh, this could be good, but what about the games? Is it going to have enough games?" And they have really just cranked them out in some fantastic hits. I mean, it's going to be cool to see if this is the kind of the console of the year, obviously, but console of all time. So,
I mean, you just never know. You just never know.
Yep. One of the things that we also wanted to add, kind of going into the MCU, was Thor Ragnarok. Just in the way of movies for 2017, we know that we're going to get a solid movie anytime Marvel cranks one out, but this one was kind of caught us by surprise and learned us that it could be really, really funny. Because I would say not only was it one of the best superheroes of 2017, it was also one of the funniest movies of 2017 that I watched. What about you, Spence?
Absolutely. I mean, Thor brought the thunder down in his latest movie this year. It definitely was one of my top movies in the entire year. I went and saw that thing, I think, 3 times in the theater.
Wow.
It was excellent. Excellent. Steve, kind of sticking in the Marvel world again, man. Spider-Man Homecoming also is in our top 10 of this year. That movie was top to bottom probably my favorite Spider-Man movie. It had everything. It had the awkwardness of Peter Parker. It had great action. It had great comedy. It had moments where you actually had a sense of dread for the main character. His well-being was really put into a jeopardy. And then of course, you also freaking had Michael Keaton just chewing up the scenery as the Vulture. That movie we cannot recommend highly enough. That was a great movie, and that came out this last year, 2017.
Yeah, yeah. So speaking of great movies, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So obviously Volume 1 it was definitely different. It was kind of out of left field. It had a great soundtrack. It was visually awesome. Characters were great. And so I think the question for me was, can the sequel be as good? Is this going to be, was it just kind of flash in the pan? And, I think shot for shot, line for line, it was as witty and as dazzling, I think, as the first one, but it also had so much heart that I was actually a little taken aback. There were some times in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when I actually, it hit me in the feels, man, got me a little choked up. So I thought it was just a great sequel. Seeing Kurt Russell up in there as well, and had the daddy issues, between Star-Lord, and thought it was great.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, one of the biggest video games this last year is PUBG, man. PlayerUnknown Battleground.
Yeah.
That thing, it's one of these things where, first-person shooter games have been around for quite a while. This is, that's nothing new. But, the idea, you got kind of this battle royale where, everyone starts at the same time and, last man standing wins or, last team standing. But, this game just, it just went on to win award after award and tearing it up on Steam, and everyone's streaming this thing. This game obviously just took a huge chunk of the gamer population and got them playing this, and it may not stand the test of time with other stuff coming up, but man, in 2017 though, PUBG was just all over the place.
Yeah, man. Speaking of video games, I think, riding on the coattails of the highly successful and mind-boggling scarcity of the NES Classic Edition, it obviously was no surprise to anyone with the announcement of the SNES Classic Edition, the tiny version of the Super Nintendo with 21 phenomenal games, chalked all in at a price that was actually pretty reasonable, I thought, which was $80.
Yeah.
Spencer got one. We heard his torrid tale of mishap and woe trying to get his hands on one, but he finally got his grubby little hands on one.
And I got to unwrap it yesterday on Christmas.
Oh, did you really? You saved it until then?
I saved it until Christmas. That way, I had something to open up at Christmas, and the boys could look at it and get excited because they got to see Yoshi and Mario riding Yoshi, and they were all over that idea.
That almost seems like the marshmallow social experiment of yesteryear, when you had to have the kids and they had to wait for the marshmallow to get two. You waited. Good job for you. Good job for you. Anyway, definitely tops for 2017. Good job, Nintendo. You've made some missteps in the past, but this was definitely not one of them.
Sticking with the Nintendo train, man, Super freaking Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch.
Mic drop.
That game, I mean, it's the Mario game that, we didn't know we needed. It's the Mario game that, helps us forget that it's been so many years without a very strong platformer Mario. This is the game that, my kids just always want to play. They're constantly asking me to. This game was fan-freaking-tastic. It's one of the best video games of this last year. And, that's in our top 10 for 2017.
Yeah. And last, but of course, certainly not least, in the way of podcasts, there's one that you may have heard of. It's called the Fortress of Nerditude podcast. And it's these two charming fellows, definitely debonair good looks and razor-sharp wit, come together once a week to bring you this very podcast. So we wanted to give our own little shout out and pat on the back to the Fortress of Nerditude for hitting their 1 year mark.
Yay! You know what, Steve? I mean, for me, that's a big thing because obviously we were talking about doing a podcast for a long time, and then we got started right at the very tail end of 2016. But the fact that it's been now a little over a year, but we hit our year mark of consistently doing this every week. That was a top 10 thing for me this year, and I know for you too. And
absolutely,
just glad to continue to do this week in and week out.
Yeah, man. an awesome digital journal, as it were, and you guys get to ride along the train with us. So
absolutely. So that was 2017. That was the Fortress of Nerditude's top 10 things of 2017. But let's look ahead to 2018. We thought we'd give you maybe a little preview of what we are looking forward to in the movie world in 2018, and kind of give you a rundown of like our top 10 and see what you guys think. So, Steve, how about you start us off, man? What are we looking collectively, as far as the podcast goes? What are we looking forward to in 2018?
Okay, so number one, and this is going to kind of go almost in chronological order as to when these things come out throughout the year, but Black Panther is definitely one we've talked about in the past. We know that there are some listeners that are really excited about this. Actually, in preparation for today's show, I watched the cast of the Black Panther watched the trailer for the first time at a Comic-Con. I think it was probably San Diego Comic-Con. They went wild. So you know that they were so excited about it as well. They'd never seen any clips of the show before, and it was really cool to see kind of their reaction. It was very, very genuine. So, but just a new story, a new tale with a new hero, and I think I'm really excited to see kind of what they do with that. So
yeah, I'm excited for that movie. I think it looks good. Every single time I watch that trailer, I'm just like pumped for it.
Yeah.
Definitely looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to, and Steve, I know you are as well, we've talked about this, the movie A Wrinkle in Time. This is based on like a 1962 novel. It's kind of like science fiction fantasy. It's about a girl who tries to go looking for her missing scientist father. And like all this, like you just, if you haven't read the book, you probably should. But the movie and the trailer, I mean, it's got Oprah Winfrey, Mindy Kaling, it's got Zach Galifianakis, it's got Chris Pine. Like the visuals in this thing just look phenomenal. To me, it looks like, and I think maybe Steve, you brought this to my attention. It maybe looks kind of like like a never-ending story for like this generation, like at least visually.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yes. Very, very storybook-esque. Oprah, like you said, Oprah Winfrey's in it, got some big names, but definitely has that, on this grand adventure, this person that's kind of been taken out of her realm and has kind of a destiny to follow. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. It looks really, really good. And Disney, I mean, it's going to be solid. So, Tomb Raider. So Tomb Raider comes out March 16th. Obviously, we no longer have to work with the likes of Angelina Jolie as the lead character. Obviously follows the story of Lara Croft. Talked about it previously. But this is kind of the reboot, and I think it's going to be a good kind of origin type story. I think it's going to be different than what we've seen before. We obviously have a different actress at the helm, and I think it's going to be different and interesting. Got some beautiful shots of what I've already seen in the trailers. So,
I played the reboot of this game, of like this series that from a couple years back, and this movie looks like it's going to stay really true to that reboot of that game. And if it does, this could be the movie based on a video game that makes the breakthrough of actually being a good movie,
which is rare to happen. Very rare to happen.
Very rare. Speaking though of adaptations, Ready Player One, the film with Steven Spielberg at the helm, that's coming out based on the book by Ernest Cline. This movie is by far something both of us are excited for. It's got chock full of 80s references. It's going to be a great movie based on like video games and pop culture of the 80s. It's something I think that's going to be right up our alley, and I think right up the alley of a lot of our super friends. And that's something we're looking forward to. And that comes out like at the end of March.
Yep. So hitting theaters May 4th, an unprecedented cinematic journey 10 years in the making and spanning the entire MCU is Avengers Infinity War. So obviously this is going to bring the Hollywood squares of superheroes to the table in a blitzkrieg of devastation and ruin that puts an end to the universe. Or can our saviors save the day? We shall see.
Well, knowing that it's going to be the first of a two-parter, I think we're going to be left on a cliffhanger. But I'm just saying that we'll have to find out in the follow-up. But yes, we are excited here for the Avengers Infinity War. Absolutely.
and they're going to have to sacrifice all. So I'm really excited to find out who will be sacrificed on the altar of sacrifice.
The contracts.
The contracts, that's right.
Right. That's interesting because that's at the beginning of May. At the end of May, Disney is putting out another huge property. They're coming out with their another standalone Star Wars movie. It's called Solo, a Star Wars story. And this is kind of about a younger Han Solo and the hijinks he gets into and his backstory, which has been told before in some books that are no longer canon. And so it could follow some of the books. It could be completely separate and different. This movie looks to be really good. It's being directed by Ron Howard, who stepped into the game to take over. I'm excited for this. May is going to be a great month with Avengers and a Star Wars film.
Well, and if that wasn't enough, speaking of sequels and threequels and whatever else, Pixar's Incredibles is up for a sequel, The Incredibles 2, which is by my calculations, 14 years in the making. And this is going to come back with our favorite superpowered Parr family and pick up immediately after the close of the first movie with Jack and his dangerous superpowers. So excited to see where that goes. Loved the first one.
Oh, yeah.
Kids still love the first one. I mean, they watch that thing often. And so I'm excited to see that as a family. It's often, we talk about a lot of movies that I'm not ready for my kids to see just yet, but this is not one of them. So very excited to see that.
That's a movie that my kids love. We don't watch it all that often, but they always enjoy it. It's such a good movie.
Oh yeah. Totally creative. I love the Art Deco kind of feel, not Art Deco, but the artistic feel of the movie. And I'm excited to get back with the Parr family. So
yeah, I think the sequel is going to be right on track with the first one. I'm excited. Let's make it happen.
Hits theaters June 15th, by the way.
There you go. Also coming up this year, Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is going to be the sequel to Ant-Man. Ant-Man was a great movie released by Marvel in the MCU. Once again, it's one of these things where it's a lesser known character for most people. The movie just did great business, super funny. It was really, really witty. But it's coming back and it's going to be a sequel. It's going to be part of the next phase of the Marvel movies. That's coming out this year. That's going to be big. I am jacked for that thing.
Yep. Sequel again. 6 years after the event of Wreck-It Ralph, we're coming back to theaters with Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2. Again, yeah. I love the first one. Very similar again to Incredibles, just a different story. Obviously, I still love that scene from Wreck-It Ralph when all of the villains are sitting around in the intervention. There's Dr. Robotnik and one of the guys from Street Fighter anyway, so loved the movie. Kristen Bell, obviously, wonderful actress. Alan, how do you say his name? Tudyk? I always say it wrong.
Alan Tudyk.
Tudyk, yeah. Mandy Moore is in this. So again, I think it's going to be a fun movie, and again, one that I'd bring my kids to see.
My kids love Wreck-It Ralph. They have watched that movie way too many times. I'm excited. I'm personally excited for Wreck-It Ralph because it has that kind of that 80s nostalgic retro feel with the kind of the video games of that era, so that we get it, and there's a lot of humor for adults, but there's a lot of humor also for kids, and I know that my boys are going to be excited to see that. I know that's coming out towards the end of the year. That's November, December time, and I'm all on. I've been waiting for this movie since the first one came out. Yep.
So that should be good.
The last thing we have on here is the X-Men Dark Phoenix film that's coming out. We've seen a little bit of the Dark Phoenix in the X-Men 3 movie from many years ago, but this is with the younger cast, and this is with Sophie Turner, who's playing Jean Grey. I've really, really, really enjoyed the younger cast, kind of what they started with the X-Men First Class. I've enjoyed their movies a lot. It feels a little fresh. It feels a little new. It's been a great way to kind of keep the story going with this kind of different timeline. But Dark Phoenix is coming out. It's supposed to give us the storyline of the Dark Phoenix comics, and that thing's coming out towards the end of December. It looks freaking amazing.
Yes, it does. Yes, it
Now,
does.
now you know what, Steve? That's our top 10 for movies that are coming out in 2018. Obviously, there's lots of stuff coming out on television and video games. And then, of course, like we said, Stranger Things Season 3 on Netflix is going to come out this year. Plus just a whole bunch of other really, really, really great stuff. But that's, a little bit of a preview for 2018 from us here at the Fortress of Nerditude. We've had a great 2017. I'm excited for 2018. I want to hear from our super friends. You, the listener, you, the super friend that comes with us every single week. You come to the Fortress of Nerditude, you kick it back, you relax with us, you hang out, you have a good time, you interact with us. What are you looking forward to in 2018? Is it a video game? Is it a movie? Is it something TV? Is it books? Is it, board games? Is it Dungeons and Dragons? Whatever it is, like, we want to hear from you. Let us know. That's going to be our question of the week. What are you looking forward to in 2018? And
Love it.
You can let us know on all the normal places. Twitter at Fort of Nerd, Facebook, which is facebook.com/Fort of Nerd, email, which is fortofnerd@gmail.com, or you can give us a call and leave us a voicemail, which is 801-477-7687. And let us know, what are you looking forward to? Now, here's the other thing we talked about a little earlier. Steve and I are going to be accountable to one another to be healthier in 2018. For me, I know that means that, like, I want to drop weight, and I want to get my weight down, and I want to get into personally a little bit better place with my blood pressure. Steve wants to get into better shape so he can run this half marathon. If you want to improve your life, whether that's, exercising, losing weight, getting buff, whatever that may be, or if you just want to do something different, like you want to cut out smoking or drinking, or if you want to, do less of those things, or if you want to find ways to spend more quality time with your family, your kids, your loved ones, whatever it may be. If you want some accountability partners, Steve and I are here for you. Let us know. You can direct message us on Twitter, or you can email us directly if you'd like, and we can talk. But, like, we're gonna figure something out here real quick, and we're gonna make a way that we can, like, interact with one another here. Us with you, and you with us, and you alls with you alls, and we'll just make a little community of accountability. And I think that'll be a good thing for us in 2018.
I agree. Make the change that you want to make in your life, and make 2018 a great year. So it's all about the start. It's you start good, you finish good, and we'll be with you every step of the way.
I'm reminded by the poet Michael, who says, "I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to make a change." His ways. Because no message could be any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, just take a look at yourself and make that change. Yes. Come on.
Come on. Well.
Anyway,
if
once
Shimon
again,
can't get you motivated, what can?
That's right. Thank you again for being with us this week and every week here at the Fortress of Nerditude. We appreciate you spending a little bit of your time with us.
May the Force be with you, always.